Saturday morning when I want to talk about a year in the life, everybody's talking about a new tattoo that Charlotte got. I want to say, hey, please watch A Year in the Life. It'll give us something more to talk about than a tattoo that nobody's ever going to see.
Oh, my.
Well, I don't want to see it.
A Year in the Life, Wednesdays on NBC. Take a good...
Romantic notions.
I'm killing myself once we reach the honeymoon suite.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Untimely deaths.
I've seen worse.
Raw courage.
Prepare to die.
Dating sure was tough. Once upon a time, Rob Reiner's The Princess Bride with Billy Crystal. Now in video stores everywhere.
Bye-bye, boys! Have fun storming the castle!
That was a spoof of the popular uh-oh, better get Mako TV commercials. But that accident was no spoof. I know. I'm Tim Gross, the driver of that car. I wear seatbelts and other safety aids. Mako Auto Painting and Body Works wants to fix cars. We can't mend your body, so drive carefully, obey all the traffic laws, and buckle up.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice!
Uh-oh. She just called the world's craziest ghost.
Can you be scary?
What do you think of this? Michael Keaton is Beetlejuice.
I'm the ghost with the nosebleed.
Rated PG. Now playing.
These are the colleges we're relying on, for the people we're all depending on to keep this country ahead of the competition. So if you want America to stay #1 in the world, do something about it. Give to the college of your choice.
WRC TV, Channel 4, Washington, D.C.
Tonight, the dramatic rescue of a child and more politicking in the battle for the Democratic presidential nomination. Good evening, I'm Dave Marash. Jim Vance has tonight off. Ever since the day that he was arrested, 23-year-old Conan Owen of Annandale, Virginia, has insisted he was innocent of charges he knowingly brought 4 pounds of cocaine with him into Spain. His protestations have been supported by a DEA investigation and by the confession of the man who says he helped to set Conan Owen up. But today, a Spanish judge ignored that evidence and found Conan Owen guilty of trafficking in drugs and sentenced him to 6 years and a day in prison and a fine of almost $20,000. Thus ends a chapter in a bitter story we've been following for you since last August. Owen has been in prison for over a year now, waiting for today's verdict. As we've been reporting since last August, Owen was charged with smuggling $200,000 worth of cocaine into Spain in March 1987. 2 Saturdays ago, he stood in front of Judge Jose Presencia with his evidence that even included a U.S. federal court guilty plea by George Barahona that Barahona had set Conan Owen up. But apparently that wasn't enough, and tonight Owen faces another 5 years in jail.
Fotógrafo norteamericano Conan David Owen.
Spanish TV first came on with the news today that Conan Owen had been found guilty of drug trafficking. The case was followed closely and sometimes inaccurately by the Spanish news media. After the verdict today, we spoke with Conan's parents, Ernest and Raquel Owen. They were at the office of Ana Campa, their Spanish lawyer. We asked them how Conan had taken the news.
Well, we haven't talked to him, but Anna has told us that she had seen Conan yesterday and told Conan to be prepared for an adverse verdict because of the length of time the court was taking in making a decision. And when she went to see him today, his first words, how many years?
What's your plan now? Are you going to appeal?
This is something that we're under discussion now, but yes, of course, appeal is very high on our list of possibilities and options.
I know that this whole case has just been a terrible strain on the family. How are you going to pull together now that this terrible verdict has come down?
I mean, we've gone through it this long. We are not about ready to give up. Conan hasn't given up. We can't let all of our friends and supporters in the United States down because they have believed in us, and we're going to carry it on.
Also disappointed by today's guilty verdict were U.S. Attorneys Henry Hudson and Justin Williams. Both of them were involved in the initial investigation into the drug ring that had duped Conan Owen. Williams even testified in Barcelona in Owen's behalf. Mr. Hudson, what's your response to the news from Spain?
Well, I'm very disappointed. Based upon our review of the case, we would have thought there was an excellent chance of an acquittal.
Justin, I know this has got to be a double disappointment to you.
That's true. I do feel very sad for them. And of course, professionally, I also feel badly about it because Conan Owen would be a significant witness in the case that we're still working on here.
Today's guilty verdict even reached into the office of Attorney General Ed Meese. Last February, Meese had hand-carried federal evidence of Conan's innocence to the Spanish Minister of Justice in Madrid. Today, Meese talked about the verdict.
That is that the Department of Justice regrets the decision by a court in Spain in the Conan Owen case. We will continue to confer, as we are right now, with Mr. Owen and his attorneys and with the United States Embassy and consular personnel and the officials there in determining what should be our next step. While we respect the Spanish justice system, we continue to believe in Mr. Owen's innocence, which was based upon our own independent investigation, and we hope that he will ultimately be exonerated.
Ernest and Raquel, I know, is sitting by you. Thank you very much for spending this time talking with us, and rest assured that all of the people here in the United States who have followed Conan's defense and followed this case will continue to follow as you fight along, as you say you intend to do.
Well, we do, and thank you, Dave, and to all of our friends and supporters and the media there in the United States. We never would have gotten this far without you. We know our son is innocent. The Justice Department knows our son is innocent. The people of the United States knows our son is innocent. And eventually we will win.
The Owens say they will appeal today's decision, even though that means that Conan must stay in his Barcelona prison cell. If they admit guilt, he can be transferred to a more comfortable federal prison here in the United States and look forward to release on parole up to a year earlier than under Spanish law. His story isn't over, and neither is our coverage of it. And there is, by the way, a Conan Owen Defense Fund. The address is 4737 Exeter Street, Annandale, Virginia, zip 22003. That's the Conan Owen Defense Fund, 4737 Exeter Street, Annandale, Virginia, zip 22003. Tonight, a 2.5-year-old boy is alive thanks to the Bethesda Chevy Chase rescue paramedics. Jack Clordy has the dramatic details.
His brothers and sisters say that 2.5-year-old Spencer Ashton is a very active little boy. So when things were a little too quiet in the house late this afternoon, his mother sent his 10-year-old sister to find him.
She told me to go look downstairs, and I was looking downstairs, and I called his name, and normally he'll answer, and he didn't answer. So I went back upstairs, and she said, check the pool. And I guess he fell in. And he was in there, and so I got him out.
Her little brother had fallen into the large hot tub in the basement. The cover was off temporarily because a family member had been warming the water. Following the directions of the 911 emergency operator, Mrs. Ashton began giving little Spencer mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and his eyes opened slightly. But by the time the paramedics arrived, they say that things looked very bad.
Child was in full cardiac arrest. Our ambulance crew from our other station up on Democracy Boulevard brought child out to us. We then proceeded to do advanced life support care on this child.
So you had to bring this child back, really?
Essentially, yes. The breathing had stopped and the heart had stopped, and we had to use techniques to get the heart going again and get the breathing back on this child, which is drug therapy and defibrillation, things like that, to get the child back.
Tonight, Spencer is in stable condition at Bethesda Naval Hospital. He's breathing on his own, and it looks like he's going to make it.
It's a very good feeling. There's nothing like bringing somebody back who's not clinically living and bring them back so that they are alive.
Jack Clordy, News 4, Potomac.
Doctors caution that Spencer is not out of the woods yet. Family members say he is to be transferred tomorrow morning to Children's Hospital, but his prognosis is rated as good. Montgomery County Police tonight are searching for a man who allegedly dragged a 7-year-old girl into the woods and raped her. It happened this morning in the 9300 block of Piney Branch Road, and tonight worried residents were handing out leaflets warning parents to keep a closer watch on their children. In the incident this morning, police say the man snatched the girl from a swing and disappeared into the woods with her. After the assault, he took off in the direction of some apartments in the next block. Police say he is a slender white male in his mid-20s with shoulder-length black curly hair. He was wearing a gold earring in his right ear, a black T-shirt with a skull on it, jeans, a black belt with a silver buckle, and a black necklace. News 4 tonight has learned that federal agents have now joined the D.C. police investigation into the alleged disappearance of dozens of handguns from a private security firm. That firm is Executive Security. It employs 400 people. It's been awarded more than $2 million in government contracts. Police say 160 weapons are registered to the company, most of them .38 caliber handguns. Company owner Margot Briggs says she believes the investigation of her firm is politically motivated.
Well, this has happened over a period of 2.5 years. This just didn't happen in the last 30 days. And it's been reported during each time.
You mean every time there was a missing weapon, you reported it?
Yes.
Then why has it suddenly come to light at this time?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. But I'm waiting to find out.
Ms. Briggs' comments were made during an exclusive interview with News 4's Barbara Harrison. We'll have more of the interview with Margot Briggs tomorrow on News 4 at 6. 3 children died last week when fire swept through a building that was owned by Russell Hughes. Hughes owns a number of rooming houses in the city where dozens of people live in cramped quarters. Tonight, Hughes has been fined $15,000 for at least 150 housing code violations at his properties. Pat Collins has the story.
Over the weekend, city officials inspected 8 rooming houses operated by Hughes. One rooming house they closed down immediately because they said the place was too dangerous to live. At the others, inspectors say they found about 150 housing violations, including emergency violations like faulty wiring, gas leaks, faulty boilers, defective smoke detectors, and overcrowding. City officials said that Hughes had no rooming house licenses and that he had no certificates of occupancy. The city has fined Hughes $15,000, $14,500 for not having the permits, $500 for not having smoke detectors.
However, we are reviewing the inspection reports, and we will take the necessary enforcement actions at that time.
News 4 cameras were there yesterday when Hughes was served with the violations. Hughes claims he couldn't repair the buildings because the tenants didn't pay the rent.
You kept a lot of people there that didn't have anywhere else to go?
Didn't have nowhere else to go and couldn't pay rent.
Hughes came to the attention of the housing inspectors last week when 3 children died in a fire at one of his rooming houses in Northeast. Fire department officials said they found no evidence of smoke detectors in the house. Hughes says the smoke detectors were there. City officials say they may move to criminally prosecute Mr. Hughes, or they may move to shut down his business for good. What officials do, they say, depends on how fast Mr. Hughes moves to fix up his rooming houses. I'm Pat Collins, News 4 Washington.
D.C. housing inspectors say that they're about to start conducting surprise raids on rooming houses. They say that will encourage citizens to report illegal rooming houses in the district. Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis has taken a slight edge over Jesse Jackson in the battle for momentum towards the Democratic presidential nomination. Tonight, Dukakis has taken the lead over Jackson in both the Colorado caucuses and the Wisconsin primaries. With 29% of the vote now counted in Wisconsin, Dukakis leads with 46%. Jackson is second with 32% of the vote. Senator Albert Gore of Tennessee is third. Illinois Senator Paul Simon is running a distant fourth, about 5% of the vote. He is expected to stop active campaigning after today. They're still counting in the Colorado caucuses one day after they were held. The results look about the same as the Wisconsin primary. Dukakis leading there with 44% of the vote, Jackson 36%, and Gore just 3% in Colorado. A victory for Dukakis, but not so substantial as to claim any kind of knockout over Jesse Jackson. By the way, Jackson was complaining today about the caucus process in Colorado and a slowdown in the count of the vote there. He charged that the chairman of the Democratic Party in Colorado, a Dukakis backer, was to blame for changes that hurt Jackson's chances. Between all the headlines about how he's under investigation and the cold hard fact that the administration that he is in its last lame duck year, Attorney General Edwin Meese has been having a tough time filling the vacancies at the numbers 2, 3, and 4 slots in his Justice Department. But today, Meese did fill the top 2 slots.
John Shepard, the former president of the American Bar Association, who is from St. Louis, Missouri, and his Associate Attorney General, Francis A. Keating, II, the Assistant Secretary of the Treasury for Enforcement.
John Shepard, the man on the left, replaces the recently resigned Arnold Burns. Francis Keating replaces Stephen Trott, who was named a federal judge. Still unfilled is the job that was vacated suddenly last week by William Weld as the top man in the Justice Department's criminal division. At least 2 Meese-approved candidates for that job have turned it down. Still to come tonight, Bob Ryan says colder weather is headed our way, although hopefully cold isn't really the right word. And more American troops are leaving tonight for Panama. We'll have the latest on that. In sports, the Bullets in Chicago on the road, they hope, to a playoff slot. Stay with us.
In the past 2 years, I have been blessed with 2 beautiful granddaughters because their mother had early prenatal care right from the start.
10 little Indians make a big mess. Rental cleaners, that's one way, I guess, but Regina's found an easier way to clean carpets with a hot water spray. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner. High traffic areas, keep them clean. It's easy when you own a machine. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner cleans whole rooms so deep, so fast, makes rental cleaners a thing of the past. For less than you ever thought you'd pay, clean your carpets the easy way. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner.
Good morning, Mr. Simmons' office. No, he's not in yet. I'm sorry.
Mr. Simmons is late for work again.
Good morning, Mr. Fisher's office. Yes, I'll put you right through.
Mr. Fisher is doing business thanks to 976 Wake. By calling 976 WAKE from his touch-tone phone, Mr. Fisher can get a hotel-style wake-up call anytime he chooses.
Good morning, Mr. Simmons' office. I'm sorry, he's still not in.
Call 976 Wake, the reliable reminder.
$2 per call. Calls return anywhere in D.C. and Maryland.
Did your last eye exam have a phoropter test, a computerized vision test, a health check for glaucoma and cataracts? And Eye Exam 2000 does. With 20 tests and checks, it adds up to one of the most thorough eye exams you can get. Thoroughness is Eye Exam 2000.
Eye Exam 2000, next to LensCrafters. 11 Baltimore and D.C. locations, including Wheaton Plaza. Call 800-522-LENS for one near you.
What are you doing in the kitchen at 3 a.m. in the morning, Alice?
Having a breakfast treat, George.
But breakfast isn't for another 4 hours.
I'm not having breakfast. I'm having a Stelladoro breakfast treat.
Is there a difference?
Breakfast, you eat at breakfast time. Breakfast treats, you eat anytime.
Not bad. But if they're good anytime, Alice, why do they call them breakfast treats?
George, don't talk. Eat.
Stelladoro breakfast treats. There's no wrong time to eat them.
Tonight, D.C. police are on the scene of an apparent double shooting in Northwest. Police were called to the 2600 block of 14th Street Northwest around 10:30 tonight. Witnesses on the scene tell News 4 that a fight had broken out at an Amoco station, which also houses a mini-mart food store. Shots were fired. 2 people reportedly injured. One of them may have been a security guard at the convenience store. One victim was taken to Howard University Hospital, the other to Washington Hospital Center. The first of 1,300 American soldiers ordered to Panama are starting to arrive in that country tonight. President Reagan has ordered them to Central America to bolster security for the Panama's Canal Zone and to put pressure on General Manuel Antonio Noriega. About 500 military policemen from Maryland's Fort Meade are among the troops leaving Andrews Air Force Base tonight. Soldiers from several other bases are also taking part in the airlift. Military spokesmen say the troops will be given routine patrol assignments on American bases in Panama and will not venture outside American military installations. Tonight, hijackers have released 24 women who were among the more than 100 people held hostage on a Kuwaiti airliner. That jumbo jet's on the ground in northeastern Iran after being commandeered on a flight from Bangkok to Kuwait. 3 members of the Kuwaiti royal family are among the passengers on the jet, and hijackers have warned that the 3 could be killed if Kuwait refuses to release 17 pro-Iranian prisoners held in jail. The Kuwaiti government says it will not give in to blackmail and is cooperating with Iran in an attempt to end the standoff. No Americans are on board. Those 17 prisoners, among those that Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North was at one time dealing with Iran about. Well, Bob, I must congratulate you on an exemplary day.
Taking full credit.
What is this about colder weather coming?
It may be more like, a bit more like April. How's that? And we may get some rain, too.
June was lovely.
Wasn't it June? That's right. We actually will have a June day today and a May day tomorrow, and then after that, well, no, we're not going to go back to March, but certainly more like April. What a day, was it? This was one of those days everybody outside. 3-hour lunch break again? Why not? What a day. 79 degrees, the warmest day so far? You betcha. Warmest day we've had so far this season. I'll be saying that a few times as we go on into July and August. Not all that far away from the record. We missed it by 7 degrees, and what a difference. A year ago, yes, we were having some wet snowflakes in the air with a high temperature, a measly 44 degrees. Let me take you back and show you what's been happening. This was late yesterday afternoon, and watch the thunderstorms blossom just to our east. There were some really nasty thunderstorms, a sign of April and May weather, but now skies are clear, and here we are with hardly a cloud to be seen. 66 degrees our current temperature, south-southeasterly wind, a bit of humidity out there. Our weather watchers report high 50s to low 60s. Abraham Brody, though, DuPont Circle, 69 degrees, a lot of pollen in the air, too. Look at the temperatures around the northeast. Northern New England is the chilly spot, but other than that, at 11 o'clock at night, it is still in the 60s, even a few 70s down in the southeast. And look at Chicago, still 78 degrees. They'll be changing dramatically, too, though. Take a look at what is happening now in our atmosphere. This is the leading edge of much cooler air that is beginning to push in from Canada. A line of very heavy thunderstorms. When we zoom in to the Midwest, you can see where they are. They're stretching in a line right now from Illinois down through Missouri on into Arkansas. Baseball-sized hail fell from those thunderstorms around Oklahoma, and Decatur, Illinois, just within the past hours, had a wind gust to 70 miles per hour. In advance, though, warm air, and look at the records established. Atlanta, 89 degrees, Tallahassee, 91 degrees, records all over the place from Illinois down to Mississippi. That will be changing, though. Look at what's in these clouds. A very nasty line of thunderstorms in the radar you can see stretching from Illinois down into Louisiana. As time goes on, that line of thunderstorms, we can see that in the radar, will be slowly moving through the Ohio Valley tonight and beginning to kick off a line of very heavy rains. There are tornado watches up until, about 3 to 4 o'clock this morning in advance of this line, and by late tomorrow, that will be moving into Kentucky and then continuing to move on into our area. So tomorrow, we'll see the clouds beginning to move in, still one more mild day. Then the cool air will be slicing our way during the day on Thursday. For us for tonight, it will be a clear night, still very pleasant, 50s overnight for the most part. Tomorrow will start out quite warm, get up to about 75 degrees. Clouds come in tomorrow afternoon. Then tomorrow night, some of the showers of our own begin coming in, and possibly also some thunder showers. Then the much cooler air comes in here as things change dramatically. During the day on Thursday, we'll see showers, possibly some thunder showers, with the temperature for a high only 55 degrees, I think. On Thursday, we'll begin to dry out as we head on into Friday and Saturday. Springtime. The weather can be changeable in springtime, as we will see over the next couple of days.
Certainly hurts to change from today. It was a beauty. Thanks, Bob. Todd Whitthorne's up next with sports. The Bullets on the road against the Bulls, and the schedule for the Skins next year. Not as tough as the defending champ might have had.
I'm John Houston. I have emphysema, so I know how precious lungs are. Take care of your lungs. It's a matter of life and breath.
The American Lung Association.
Now see here, my good man. I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
Read my lips. I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
Don't worry. At Meineke, we install quality Everlast mufflers from just $18.93. Installed.
Ha ha! Now it is clear. I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
You're not.